Was listening a little bit to Aluna's live broadcast thing, and she was talking about the people and beings and messages and everything that isn't just simple and that carries some sort of agenda or carries some sort of personal gain on whoever is giving it. And she was using the example of a lion. And if you come across a lion, you're not having internal questions about, like, who is this creature? Who is this being? I wonder what this one's all about. And the lion doesn't get up and start saying, I'm blah, 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 and this is my mission, and this is what I'm doing. And here's, how you could benefit. The lion doesn't say any of that. The lion is exactly a lion, and you know it. And the same thing goes for people and entities, channeled messages, books. All of it is the same thing, to where once you've been in sort of the arena for a while, then, or maybe you've been burned a few times, at some point you can recognize energy. And I'm not at this level, but I'm sure at some point, if you've cleansed yourself enough, and you start seeing the energy, you start seeing auras and things like that, then at some point the person doesn't ever need to say anything, and you simply know. You know what they're about and what they're doing without them saying anything. Sometimes the talking is the detraction anyway, even with somebody who's not trying to sell you something. So when I'm listening to somebody, I usually don't even really care what they're saying as far as information-wise or knowledge sharing. I don't really pay that much attention to that. I just feel their intent and see where their heart's at, see what they're doing in the realm, and it's evident in the first facial expression they use, or first word, or something like that. And there are no more questions, because when somebody is as pure as, say, a lion, then that person also isn't saying, I am this, I am that. They are simply being, and you recognize it immediately. Now, of course, you can contrast this with any news broadcaster for mainstream news, or if somebody's, say, a spokesperson for a corporation or a company, it's the same thing, but that's a little different, because they're not trying to hide that they are speaking for another entity or for an agenda. They're saying outright, I am a blah 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 representative, and this is my message for that entity. Now, if all beings that were trying to sell something did that, they said, hey, I'm such and so, maybe I'm such and so creature that likes to feed on this type of energy, and you provide it, and therefore this is what's happening, and blah blah blah, then I think it would be a little gentler overall as far as things hashing out how they must, rather than all sorts of carnage or chaos or wars or whatever. Because truth be told, all beings and individuals and entities need what they need. And even if some beings have gotten themselves into a situation where they can no longer produce their own energy, or they lack the creative spark within, and they can only copy or mimic or whatever. Even so, like, if that's a conscious individual / being, then they deserve some sort of respect and understanding of their place in the realm, just like every other being. I mean, you could even think of it like there's a very real likelihood that the creatures that are eating so-called loosh or negative energy, just if you compare it to the natural world or the animal kingdom, there are parasites in the natural world, and they serve a valuable function. You could probably look at it as, well, if we eliminated these creatures that were consuming negative emotions, then perhaps the realm would be flooded with negative emotions, and who knows what would happen. The same thing as, humans doing operations that remove certain species, or species go extinct, or the bee population is lowering in a certain area, and that adversely affects pollination, and then the flowers are too overladen with pollen, and the whole cycle gets disrupted just because you move one bit of it or remove a integral part of it. And I think more so, rather than blaming such and so group or whoever because they need what they need, I think the overall message could be clarified to that when you have a system that depends on each one of its parts to function properly, when you get in there and start playing mad scientist, then you're gonna see some crazy shit happening. And that's what we're seeing. We have mad scientists on multiple levels trying to do this or that, or trying to sort of trick the universe, trying to get out of karma, perhaps. Whoever it is, whatever it is that's doing this mad scientist stuff, if anything, that would be more of a cause or more of a reason for why things are so upside down.